Okay, so we've made our plan, and now we want to think about communicating that to people by printing it out. And PowerProject's got fantastic abilities, and it's simply the best when it comes to output. So, and that's really in 4 areas. The first one is the ability to turn anything on screen on or off. And the Format tab, there are a number of icons, so we can click on an item and we can say, well, I don't want to see the critical item, so that's suppressed, that red outline, or the total float, or the free float, or we could turn the links themselves, just some of the links, the least important links called non-driving links, or we could turn all of the links themselves on or off. So I can strip it back to be as anodyne or as clear as I can for both good and bad reasons. But also there's a graphical layer on top of the body of the plan, so I can put text items, pictures and any other Windows object such as a spreadsheet or a AutoCAD drawing, for example, on screen. So if I click on the text annotation, I can go onto the body of the plan, I can draw a box, and in that box I can type anything I want, such as this is important. And in here we can change the size of this by moving it around. We can set the font size that we use for the whole thing or for part of it. So we can set 12-point fonts. We can double click on it and edit part of it, so we can choose part of it and make this bold and red, for example. So we can just pick out part of it. So it's very good for communication, but when we pick up one of these annotations and go near an activity, the cursor changes shape to what we call attachment pointers. And if I let go when this shape is on screen, this piece of annotation is connected to the top right-hand corner of this activity and will move around with it. And if it is connected to an activity, I can also embed in this sentence, if I right mouse click, the same information that I can put in any of the columns on the screen. So we can pick off just a key bit of information and communicate that elegantly to our audience. And so when this item moves, that date will be updated. So here, for example, I can pick up the status line, and by using the blue arrows I can move this activity, in this case 1 day at a time, or I can reschedule it and put it back to where it was, and that date or whatever information it is will always be correct. So we can do the same thing with a picture. We can click on this item, we can go near an activity, get the attachment pointer, we can draw a box, we can let go, and then we're presented with this dialog, and I can browse and find which activity, which logo I want to find. So here I'm going to pick up this picture, and we supply about a megabyte of clip art that you can choose. You can choose different appearances, so we can see through this file, for example, and so we can scale this and show more or less information. So it really helps communicate whatever you've got on screen to your audience. And there's one last thing I want to do before we send it to preview and show another feature, and that is the ability to colour in the activities in a structured way. So if I bring it back into view, my project view, on the left hand side there's a section called Code Libraries, and there's a section here in this particular case called Trade Contractors. And I've entered various values in this area, and I'll show you later on how we did that. So in this particular case we're not going to carry out the work ourselves, various other people are going to do it on our behalf, and we can take an organisation from this list where we've preset an appearance, and we can drag and drop it onto an activity, and then we can see visually, colourfully, what these different activities, which organisation they're being carried out by. And we can either display that in a column on the body of the plan, we could put it as a text annotation after each activity, or we can select, in this case, more than one activity, and we can put a single code onto 2, and so we can see that appearance on screen, but later when we preview that or print it out, we can see that information presented on screen, and we can, at this point, with PowerProject, we wrap around the output that we're going to create what we call a border, and you select that border and you can edit that border from a list, and so we can choose one that we might have used previously, and then it scales our diagram to fit, in this case, a single page, but we can choose many different to fit on many different pages, and we can edit this border, which comes with a graphical editing tool called Power Draw. So we can zoom in on just an area of the scheme, for example, and we want to drop a logo in here, which we've got on disk. So we just click on this new picture icon, we draw a box in this area, and we go away and we find our picture that we're going to embed, usually a company logo, our own or our clients. And so we can then scale this around however we want, and when we return to our plan, saving those changes, we're going to integrate those changes into our plan. So in that way, you can have a very elegant output from the fact that we've wrapped a border around it. We can see as a legend, which is optional, we can turn it on and off, what these different colours and patterns mean and which trade contractor they represent. And our plan is scaled on paper, and we're not left with any nasty white space that we would get with other systems like Microsoft Project, and the clarity of presentation is second to none. So Power Project is the best tool for presentation, both at a bidding stage and also at a project and project control stage.